I cannot tell you how many times someone has said to me, I really felt like I did everything right, and still something got to my chickens. Well, today I want to show you a different way to think about predator proofing so that you can feel like your chickens are safer. You love him, don't you? Bubba loves Walter. Hey guys, welcome to Chickenlandia. I am a backyard chicken educator here in the Pacific Northwest, but you can call me the president of Chickenlandia. I got no chickens. The chicken math got me, y'all. Whatever, haters. Okay, these are babies. We have grape, we have egg, and we have Miss Chicken. And over here, these are two grown hens. They are Goo and Tilly. That's their names for now until my kids change their names, but for right now, that's what they're called. So in my opinion, the easiest way to think about things when you're predator proofing is to think of the behavior of the animals that you're trying to keep your chickens safe from. Before we get started, I just want to let you guys know that I'm going to be talking a lot about Hardwire Mesh. And I talk a lot about it because it's a great product. It really is something that is a great investment for you to keep your chickens safe. Now, the problem with Hardwire Mesh is, and especially if you use it like I do, I have it like all around my chicken yard. That's what the fence is made out of. It's expensive, and there's really no getting around that. Chicken wire is so much cheaper, and I know that that's a big part of the reason why people reach for chicken wire a lot. The problem with chicken wire is that it is just not as strong as Hardwire Mesh. But in an effort to keep chicken keeping inclusive, I do want to say that, if you need to use chicken wire, if that's the only thing that you can afford, at least double up on it. And that's going to be a little bit more expensive, but if you can double up on it, if that is what you can do, then I think that's what you should do. But remember that you can find Hardwire Mesh many times for free or used if you go onto Facebook or another social media app and look and see on these groups where people are giving things for free, or sometimes there's like chicken groups. There's always gonna be people that have decided not to keep chickens anymore and they have to sell what they have, and sometimes you can even find it for free. So definitely keep an eye out for that, and just know that I'm rooting for you no matter what you can afford. So I like to put predators in 5 different categories. Predators that like to creep in, those would be nocturnal animals that would come at night. For example, owls, weasels, raccoons, etc. Then there are animals that will squeeze in. These are animals that will get into really small spaces that you never thought an animal could get through, like a little space like that, and all of a sudden you have a weasel in your coop, or you have a weasel in your run. They can get through very small spaces. Snakes can also get through small spaces. Rats can definitely squeeze into really small spaces. So these are animals that squeeze in. Then there are predators that will dig in, and these would be domestic dogs, coyotes, raccoons might dig in, a skunk might dig in. There are predators that climb in, and raccoons can definitely climb in, an opossum could climb in. Many animals can climb into your run or into your coop if you have vulnerable areas where they can get in. And last but not least, there are animals that like to fly in, and of course that would include owls, hawks, eagles, and I think that's it. What other, depending on where you are, maybe there's another kind of raptor that would like to fly in and take your chickens. So it goes without saying to keep animals out that like to creep in, otherwise known as nocturnal animals. you definitely need to make sure that your chickens are in a secure coop at night. And you want to make sure that your coop doesn't have any holes in it, that you don't leave windows open, that you don't accidentally leave the chicken door open, and that there are no ways in which any animal can get into your coop at night. Now, sometimes people are like, well, I had my coop completely closed up, but when I came outside, the door was open. Well, I like to tell people to think of any latch or any doorknob or however you're opening your chicken door. Make sure that a 2-year-old can't get into it. And that would be a really strong 2-year-old, because I liken the intelligence of a raccoon to a 2-year-old kid that is like really super strong. If a 2-year-old can open the door to your coop or open the windows to your coop, then it's not safe. So you need to get whatever latch that you need to get in order to make it more complicated so that a really super smart raccoon cannot get in. Okay, let's talk about predators that like to squeeze in. So this is where Hardwire Mesh comes in really handy. So this type of opening, so many animals can get through this. A weasel could get through this. A rat could definitely get through this. A raccoon could reach through this and actually really hurt your chickens just from reaching through it. And this is Hardwire Mesh. And there are not many animals that can get through this. Maybe a bear could get through it, okay? You need electric fencing to keep a bear out. And you also need to call 911 because nope. They are being so loud. They are being so loud. How am I supposed to do this? How am I supposed to shoot a video? Okay, in order to keep animals out that like to dig in, you're gonna have to do one of two things. You can bury Hardwire Mesh about a foot down, and that will confuse the animal when it comes up to dig. It will naturally dig at the bottom of the fence line, and when it hits that barrier, it'll be confused and it'll eventually give up. And that is the best thing that you can do with predators, is to deter them. The other thing that you can do is you can skirt Hardwire Mesh out. So, your fence goes down and then you skirt the Hardwire Mesh out. And in fact, I have a place where I do that here. And that will also confuse the animal because it just naturally goes to dig at the bottom of the fence line. And when it can't get in, it gives up. And that's what we want to do. We just want to get animals to decide, you know what, I'm just not going to try to come here. For predators that like to climb in and for predators that will fly in, the best thing that you can do is to have a covered run. So you can do that a few different ways. You can put Hardwire Mesh over the entire run. You can cover your run with a roof. You can put netting over your run, and I would suggest really strong netting. This I got off of Amazon. It's made in the USA. It is very strong. And there's nothing really that can get through this unless they had all night to figure out how to get through it. So I make sure that my chickens are locked up in a secure coop at night, and during the day there's not any critters that is gonna spend the time trying to get through this, when they're outside vulnerable in the daytime. Now I know that covering your run can get very expensive. This netting was not cheap. It was not cheap. I'm going to leave a link for it down in the description, but I'm letting you know it was not cheap to do this. There is a place in Bellingham down at the marina where fishermen will discard their old fishing net. And that stuff is like the best to cover your run with. It does take a little bit of work. Sometimes you have to patch it together, but it's so strong, and if you put it on right, it's really hard for any animals to get through it. And certainly during the day, it would be very difficult for any animals to get through it. So I would encourage you to just look for things like that locally where you are. Look for deals, go on the free cycle sites, go on Craigslist, and find something that is going to protect your chickens, because you do have options. So sometimes people find themselves in a situation where they've had a predator attack and they cannot fix the problem right away. For whatever reason, they can't fix their run right away, they can't fix their coop right away, and they need a really easy solution to keep their chickens safe temporarily until they can fix the problem. Well, there's this hack that I learned from my local wildlife rescue, and guess what? You can learn all about it by clicking on this video right here. It's 100% friendly, backyard chickens, education, and entertainment, and I know you're gonna love it.